Nadia just asked me what was the title of this show that we've just watched that we're about to review, and I said Time.
As in the time is in jail. I said, well, it's not as in what is the time.
Yeah, but you didn't know. You went Time.
No, I didn't.
You did. She did.
Anyway,
Starring-
Jesus Christ.
Starring Stephen Graham.
One of our favourite
actors.
actors. We absolutely bloody
my
loved
God,
him.
we
The
adore
last thing we saw him in
Shane
was
Meadows.
the Channel 4.
Yeah. Shane Meadows series.
Oh my God,
Where he
it
played the
was so
alcoholic.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
He was brilliant in it. So, and it's funny, you get what you want from him, but you always get something different.
You always get something different. It's
Yeah.
weird because you could argue that so many of the parts that he plays have great obvious similarities. There's a hidden fury and anger and it's just bubbling beneath the surface. But as you say, in every single part that he plays, there's always a real justification for it, so that you're taken on this journey towards the darkest parts of his character. Anyway, so it stars him and it stars Sean Bean. What's your theory on Sean Bean? I said before we started that he's an actor who kind of is growing on me as the years go by.
He's really improved. Well, I think when he first started out, he had some talent and he had great charisma. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a star. I remember at one time when I was living in Crouch End, we used to hang around a bit with his first wife.
Oh, right.
She was from Bread.
Oh,
remember
I
that?
remember Bread. Yeah.
And so I used to hear things about him. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I knew him as to hear
Right.
things about him. But he's just matured into a really good actor, I think.
So the premise of this series, it's on BBC One, is that he is a teacher who's been given a sentence of 4 years for
Manslaughter.
killing someone with
driving.
dangerous driving. Well, he says dangerous driving, but you don't know whether that's drink driving.
I
or-
didn't know whether he'd actually changed that because they didn't believe him.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there's going to be a bit of reveal about what he actually did.
It's written by Jimmy McGovern, and what I really liked about it, so it's set in a prison, and Stephen Graham is one of the screws. Obviously, Sean Bean has gone in there, and I really liked the way it, almost in documentary fashion, meticulously profiled. Almost all the incidental bits are being checked in, processed. Induction.
And all that was so chilling.
It was
because
really
people always
chilling.
talk about the noise in prison. I once filmed in a prison for a week, and it really is extraordinary, the level of noise when everyone starts banging on the door. It's the most petrifying thing, even though you know the doors are closed and you're safe. I was a TV presenter at the other side of the door, and just in the van, just the banging in the van, and you're immediately into a place of hell.
Yes.
From the first second. I actually found it really, really difficult to watch because it's so real and it's so punishingly bleak.
It is bleak, and yet at the same time it's very stylishly done. Sean Bean is put in a cell with a guy who's got some deep issues. He self-harms terribly.
Almost like he was put in there on purpose.
Yeah, it was
and
strange.
we find out at the beginning that one of the screws seems to have known the man that he killed.
Yes, that was odd, wasn't it? Yeah,
So
the
it's
more
like, was he
senior
put
screw
in that cell with that maniac
as a punishment.
on purpose? Because you can see he would be somebody, you'd know instantly it's his first time in prison, he's an older guy, you can see he's really nervous, petrified.
His name's Mark.
So you knew he was vulnerable, so you wouldn't put him in with a maniac.
No.
So we already know that there's something going on in the prison against him.
Yes.
The odds are stacked against him with some of the screws.
And of course, the biggest thing that's stacked against him is that he's got soft hands because he's a teacher, and he has a way of being polite and sort of subservient, and he sort of
Then
doffs
every
his
so
cap.
often makes the terrible mistake of actually trying to confront the most dangerous person on the
But
wing.
meanwhile, you've got this other brilliant narrative thread. And this is the great thing, isn't it? Stories that have parallel stories running along. So you've got Sean Bean. Is he going to essentially be beaten to a pulp in this sort of wilderness of a prison as he strives to sort of make his way through it? Day 4. He's only been in for 4 days so far.
And it's already totally
And it's
intolerable.
totally intolerable. And then Stephen Graham's son he's the screw. His son is in another prison. And one of the other sort of really bad, threatening prisoners in the prison that Stephen Graham works in, that Sean Bean's in, threatens to have Stephen Graham's son dealt with unless Stephen Graham starts to pull some favours.
Yeah.
Brilliant subplot.
I mean,
Of course,
no
Stephen
idea
Graham's
why
now-
his son is in prison.
No. And we've got no idea what Stephen Graham... So basically...
And Stephen Graham's wife is played by his real wife. And they have we haven't seen much from this couple yet, but there is a lovely feeling between them. Yeah.
Really nice vibe. And so you've got this brilliant narrative, because what made me... Where I thought this was going to go, I don't know if you thought it, I thought we were going to go down the route of discovering that Stephen Graham is a bent screw who can pull levers and strings.
It was unexpected.
It was unexpected, and I thought it was going to be a sort of basically a crooked screw.
So we know at the moment he's a very straightforward, good man.
Who? Stephen Graham.
Yeah. But you don't want to push him.
You don't want to push him because he immediately goes into a tailspin of protecting his son by pulling the levers in the sort of higher echelons of other prisons, because he knows obviously his son's in another prison. He knows the reality of prison life like no other. He's a screw. And then there's this wonderful moment, isn't there, where he then essentially, as punishment for this prisoner that was basically blackmailing him and threatening to hurt his son, he gets him arrested, he gets him thrown into solitary. And there's actually a moment where the prisoner says to him, calls him over and says...
Are we going to tell every single moment of this episode?
This is a spoiler
Are we going to say
review.
what we think about it?
This is a spoiler review.
We'll leave the end, in case.
But anyway, what did you think about it?
Well, as I said, it was a bit... It was a very tough watch. It was very unsettling. Actually, it's something that whenever I settle on the whole thing about prisons, I actually get very cross and very... I think there needs to be a real change. I mean, it's so hard. There's never any money, isn't there? There's not enough money for schools. There's not enough money for the NHS. There's not enough money for this and that. But we have to remember that an awful lot of people in prison have not had the best start. And there's a lot of people in prison that have huge mental health issues. And I think the punishment, you go there as a punishment, as the brilliant Sue Johnston's character, she plays Sean Bean's mum, says you're here as a punishment, not to be punished. And I think to have your liberty taken is to be punished. Because the prison that I filmed in was Cardiff Prison, which is a very good prison by all accounts. And, it was still incredibly tough. Away from your families, you're told everything. But they were treated in a decent way. There was proper windows. You weren't like this, we see in freezing cold.
I mean, there is a basic logic. There's a basic logic. If you treat them like animals, they're going to behave like animals.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
There's got to be some restorative sort of element to it.
Yeah.
I was kind of
relieved. I found it very unsettling. Like I said to Mark, it's late now. It's like gone midnight. I said, but I'm not going to be able to go to bed because I take these stories in so deeply. Like I'm literally like thinking of all the prisons across the country where innocent people or good people that made bad decisions are living in absolute hell.
And there, but for the grace of God, go I in terms of my rock bottom in my drinking life, because of course, if that had gone as wrong as it could have gone,
well, that was the other thing that I found very unsettling.
It's a huge what if this episode tonight. It's a huge what if, because of course that could have absolutely ended up in a
Mark's been sober 16
sentence.
years, but he was very close to going to prison for drinking, and so we're sitting there thinking,
Christ,
this could have been you, and you are a good man who was self-medicating with alcohol, and you could end up in that.
I know.
Or what about the kid that's never had anybody love them or look
that's what
after
was
them
nice
or
about
anything?
the contrast.
What about them?
But that's what's so nice about the contrast of Sean Bean, I think, as this teacher, this professional, alongside these really cracking young actors who are playing the sort of younger, lacking choice.
What's happened
what about
in
that
your life?
fight that broke out right at the beginning where he's just sat there in the cell? I mean, it's visceral. It is visceral.
Unless you can keep people in prison for their entire lives, what you are going to do is send out people that are much more dangerous than when they went in. And where's the sanity in that? And what does it say about our society if we treat human beings like that? So I know loads of people would completely disagree with me on this, but...
So you're going to watch another one? Will you watch another one?
Well, I can't resist Stephen.
I can't resist Stephen.
The directing is brilliant. The writing is brilliant. It is a brilliant series.
I love the fact that at the moment there's no real connection, there's no real overlap really between Stephen Graham and Sean Bean's story, is there really? Apart from them working in the same prison, being in the same prison.
It will do though. But,
I know, but that's what I like about it, it's building.
And just at the point where I said this is a bit relentless for me, I need something, then the the priest comes in,
Yes,
and then we had a bit of light.
Yeah, a moment of breath.
But you know, as is the way these days, you know, episode 2 popped up, and I was like, you couldn't have episode 2 straight away. That's gorgeous.
Let's go and put Hey You on.
Now, so what I want to do with the next episode is I
Yes.
want to watch it in the daytime.
Okay, in the
'Cause I'm
afternoon.
not going to sleep.
Well, we'll
'cause
watch
got
it.
under my
We'll watch
skin
it
and into
before
my
it goes
heart
out.
and
It's
made me
scheduled for
weep.
the evening, so we'll watch it. We'll watch it in the afternoon of the day it's due. Anyway, it's brilliantly acted, brilliantly written. It's a really brilliant portrait of really the minutiae of being in prison and being processed into prison. So I thought it did a really good job of putting us in Sean Bean's POV. And it's kind of inevitable that he's gonna. I think
And
bad
Stephen's
things are gonna
POV.
happen to. Oh
Very
yeah.
much.
But that sort of first encounter, the sense of encountering it for the first time. Stephen Graham knows it inside out and upside down.
But he's experiencing it from a prisoner's POV because of his son. So we've got this parallel going,
that's
that
good.
it is a first. He's actually living everything he's seeing in that prison.
Seeing it for the first time
he's
again.
living it for his child now.
Yeah, very true.
So it's a really interesting parallel, I think, that.
Yeah, that is.
And
Looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see them meet.
Yeah.
Maybe they never will. I'm thinking that their stories are going to be
Maybe it's just going to be parallel
maybe they never
stories.
will.
Maybe they'll just be parallel
Maybe
stories.
they'll just pass occasionally.
He's a very clever writer, Jimmy
He
McGovern.
bloody is.
Very clever.
Cheeky little beggars.